It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
A fine Saturday morning to you, Andy.
Oh, a wee bit of the Irish.
I have been delighted these weeks that I've been off this particular Saturday matinee. How troublesome getting into the show is for you because of accents.
It's a strange thing. I don't know why I tend to fall into an Irish greeting.
Oh, it's really funny.
I think because I want to say a fine Saturday morning, but then it just starts a fine.
Fine, yeah.
A fine Saturday morning to you.
Fine.
No idea. But anyway,
what are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Is that the American greeting? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. What's the news? What's the news? What do you got on your plate today?
Well, I'm going to finish watching Black Panther, and
you're in the middle of Black Panther.
I'm in the middle of Black Panther with the family. We've been watching all the Marvel movies because a lot of
course
my family had missed a lot of them. Well, yeah, of course I have. They kind of would come in and out of them, and I'm like, you guys have to watch all of them, and so
yeah.
And then we're going to watch Infinity War.
Good for you.
So I'm very much looking forward to that because my wife still hasn't seen it.
I didn't even get to talk to you about Endgame because I wasn't here.
I know you weren't here.
Picked that trailer. Yeah.
No. It's not my fault.
It's so early. That's good. Good for you on the Marvel movies. I'm glad you're staying just one step ahead.
And then, of course, there's the good old film board tonight. So I went out and saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse last night.
I'm so excited to see it. I have not seen it yet. We're seeing it at noon today. But everything I have heard about it is that it's fantastic. I can't remember the source because I was kind of avoiding these things, but a particular comic source on the web said this is the first movie that's cracked our top 10 in 30 years of just superhero movies. It's so good. And so I think I worry that my bar is set pretty high.
I don't want to say anything because I don't want to push you one way or another. And I don't want to spoil it because we're going to be chatting about it tonight. I will just say it allows for just a whole interesting additional element of expansion into the Marvel universe. And so that's an exciting element to see because they've opened up all these multiverses, which it's been in the Marvel universe forever in the comics, but this is kind of the first time they're cracking it in their cinematic storytelling.
Sony has been, I think, super conservative in its opening weekend forecasts at 30 million for this weekend, but others are saying expect it to perform much better than that. We'll see. I haven't gotten my email yet this morning for the weekend from ComScore.
Ralph Breaks the Internet has kind of been holding the top spot since it came out Thanksgiving weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a busy weekend for films coming out this weekend along with this. I mean, we've got Once Upon a Deadpool, The Mule, Mortal Engines, If Beale Street Could Talk, which was a limited release along with some other limited releases. I have a feeling this is going to take the top spot, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's by a large margin.
I'm very excited about it. That's it, Andy. I'm very excited about it. You know what else I'm excited about is Mortal Engines, and I'm super disappointed in the press about it, and I'll tell you why. I haven't read the book, but we picked up the book, and my daughter just dove into it and loved it. I mean, loved it. She said it's just a rip-roaring adventure, and it just from the very first page, she just had a great time with it. And so I'm really looking forward to this movie. I'm going to crack into the book this week and hopefully get out to see it next weekend. But I'm pretty sad about what people are saying about it.
Yeah, it's it's not faring well. The ratings are pretty low for that one. I mean, it's one of those movies that I feel like I think it looks bad. I don't think it looks that like it just looks predictable, and it looks just kind of like it looks like an interesting world, but nothing that they've done that well with. And but it still looks like it's something that's probably fun to watch. That's kind of where I sit on it.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious to see. I don't know. I guess I'm curious to see if it actually ends up being worth it or not. Because Metacritic it's at a 45.
Yeah.
So it's and they're usually lower than Rotten Tomatoes. So it's I haven't looked on Rotten Tomatoes, but it's
yeah.
Oh, let's see. What is it over at Rotten Tomatoes? Mortal Engines is at a 28. Wow, it's actually lower than Metacritic.
For the first 10 minutes of dystopian sci-fi saga Mortal Engines, a blessedly enjoyable interval before you start to realize just what a long slog you have in store. Andrew Barker at Variety. It's pretty disappointing because it has such a neat look to it. I think in terms of just adapting a new YA series, doing something that we haven't seen before, it looks like it's got some visual legs, so it's disappointing.
Well, to that end, certainly. I agree with that.
All right. Well,
we'll see.
I'll be excited about that. Anything else you're going to try and get out to this weekend you're excited about?
There's a lot of stuff I'm excited for. I just, I have so much other stuff going on. I don't know if I'll be able to sneak out to go see anything. I would like to go see The Favorite, but I don't think that's playing close to me yet. And I keep hearing everybody telling me that, what is it? The one that Blind Spotting, how amazing Blind Spotting is. So that's another that's way up on my list. And of course, I still have to catch Green Book and Bohemian Rhapsody and Creed 2, Widows. There's a lot. I just feel behind as usual.
Yeah. I'm very curious about The Mule. The Clint Eastwood film, The Mule. I'm always interested in these things, but with The Mule and The Old Man with a Gun, these two stories about these aging guys doing bad things. I'm very curious about it. But The Mule in particular, I've been thinking about Clint Eastwood.
Sounds like a whole series there, Pete. Old guys doing bad things.
Old guys doing bad things. Andy, make a note. But
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Not at all. I've been thinking about Clint Eastwood because Sandra Locke passed away at 74. And she's,
that was sad to hear.
Yeah, that was very sad to hear when she passed away. I had only just heard about it, but it seems like it's been a little bit.
A couple of days, yeah.
Yeah, what's funny about this? So I'm reading this. I put my the link to the Variety article in my notes, and it says here, actress and director Sandra Locke, who received Supporting Actress Oscar nomination for her first movie role for The Heart is a Lonely Hunter, died November 3rd at 74. That's weird, right? I thought she died not a month ago. That's got to be a typo. Tell me that's a typo.
Yeah.
Because the news just came out that she died. Why would they do that to us?
Yeah, even on
IMDb.
That's weird.
3rd.
I saw that too, November 3rd on her Wikipedia page. But
I feel like the news just came out. Like this article is from December 13th. I just added it to my list of things to talk about.
Locke died on November 3rd at age 74 from a cardiac arrest related to breast and bone cancers, although it was not publicized until December 14th, 2018.
There you go.
I wonder why. It's like a cover-up.
It was a cover-up. Sandra Locke. What a classy lady to go in conspiracy.
Right.
You're going to go.
I hope that's how I go out.
Start planning.
I actually don't.
You better start planning right now.
Right.
You're gonna need insiders.
Leave all sorts of strange clues.
You're gonna need clues.
What was he doing?
I have no idea. Does he have any idea how pointless this whole charade is? All right, Andy. Should we do some trailers?
We should. Absolutely.
All right.
Neither of us have red bands or A24s.
So. No, but I still think you should go first.
Oh, do you?
Unless you want me to go first. I really don't care. I haven't been here in a while.
I want to go first.
Oh, you do?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I mean, don't be too eager.
Given the chance, always.
I mean, come on, man.
Always take the front
All right.
stage.
All right. Fine.
Too much?
Your ambition yields to my courtesy.
My trailer is for I really have been enjoying some of these superhero movies. This is a really interesting take on the superhero films and the superhero genre, taking kind of the origin story of Superman, but putting this sci-fi horror twist on it. And it really is no surprise that James Gunn is one of the people behind it. He's a producer on it, along with, I did not realize how extended his cinematic and real world family was, but he has 4 brothers, and they all are in the film industry together, which I didn't know. And on this particular project, he is producing with 2 of his brothers, Mark Gunn and Brian Gunn, who wrote it, and it's directed by David Yarovesky. This is the film Brightburn, which looks like a really fascinating superhero origin story that becomes a villain, much like something like why am I blanking on the one we saw last year, Split, or a couple years ago. I love the take on this. I love that it's called Brightburn, and that's like his superhero name, and his name is like, I can't remember what it is, but it's a BB name. Here it is, Brandon Breyer. I think that they're taking these great superhero tropes and these Superman tropes, and finding him from this crashed meteor as a baby and raising him, and even the trailer feels very Superman-like. It's amazing, with Elizabeth Banks and David Denman as the parents who find this little baby and raise him, only to have him turn into this super villain that looks like set things on fire and fly and all sorts of crazy things. I love that they're doing this. I think it's a really interesting take on superhero movies, coming from James Gunn and everything that's gone on with him with Marvel and the Guardians of the Galaxy films. I think it's a great opportunity to kind of stick a knife in that before he moves on to other things. I'm super excited about it. I love what they're doing with this. What do you think?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, you said it. Like, what if Superman woke up and discovered his power, the young Clark Kent, and decided to kill everything? I just think that's a fantastic twist, and I love it just because of sort of what it represents. I hope we see more of these kinds of things, and we already got it with Shyamalan, and I think doubling down on that in Mr. Glass. But there's something about just making it a straight up horror movie where there isn't really a good versus evil. It's just evil versus the populace, and I, what are these like? And I don't know. I mean, maybe there is a force for good alien that's standing by to have a battle. I would be disappointed if that's the case. I mean, let's just make this a straight up horror movie and not go the usual direction. I think this is I think it looks exciting. I think it's one I'm very curious to see how they continue to play off of those the superhero gags and pivot into a real horror show. I think it's great.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
And I love seeing Elizabeth Banks not doing I love her in this kind of a role. I think it'll be interesting to see her move in a new direction.
Yeah, and she's an actress who always excites me because she just always seems to be trying such a variety of projects. Not to mention all the stuff that she's been directing. I mean, she's been doing a lot of stuff, and I love to see that she's just really stretching her legs and doing all sorts of fun stuff. Plus, she's going to be Bosley in the new Charlie's Angels, which is really an interesting twist on that whole thing.
Totally.
Yeah. Brightburn is going to be hitting theaters around Memorial Day next year, May 24th here in the U.S., along with the UK, Bulgaria, Netherlands, and Argentina. And then it'll roll out to Singapore, Portugal, and France the following weeks. And I'm sure it's going to be hitting other theaters after that, but that's all that they have listed for now. What's your trailer?
My trailer, Andy, is Triple Frontier. This is an action-adventure crime film. It's directed by J.C. Chandor, but the cast is amazing. Ben Affleck, Oscar Isaac, Charlie Hunnam, Garrett Hedlund, and Pedro Pascal look just great in this movie about 5 friends, military veterans, who they reunite to use their fantastic skills to rob a massive South American drug ring. And that's their story. Now, why am I super interested in this? First of all, it looks great. I mean, at first
I thought it was a biopic about our story, right?
Yes. No, I know. And we decided to use our skills to do podcasts. Which is probably better for the world for us to try and anyhow, but I'm super curious about this. It's it's directed by J.C. Chandor, but it was originally going to be directed back in 2010. There were talks about this. It was directed by Catherine Bigelow with Tom Hanks and Johnny Depp in it. I did not know that, but very curious about Catherine Bigelow, which led me to the screenwriter of this thing, which is Mark Bowl, who is we've actually interviewed on the show during our Catherine Bigelow series after The Hurt Locker. And he's such an interesting guy, this journalist and turned now screenwriter. This is not based on anything, as Bowles' track record is really based in his real life stories, I guess, his research, but this is an original story for him, and very excited to see how it comes together. What did you think?
I think it looks like a really interesting story. I love this concept of these veterans, these military veterans, struggling through life, and here they are deciding to raid this cartel compound and steal all the money. It looks really interesting. I love the idea, and I love kind of just the way, I don't know, the characters seem really interesting. And I guess that's what draws me in. I mean, plus you have such a stellar cast of people heading it up. I'm super excited for it. And I do think that Mark Bowl does make some really interesting projects that he's been involved in. As such a Tom Hanks fan as I am, I absolutely would have loved to see a version with him in it. And Tom Hanks and Johnny Depp would be an interesting pairing that I would love to see. It's a bit of a shame that it didn't end up happening, but just looking at the other people who had been involved, Mahershala Ali was on, Channing Tatum,
Tom
Hardy, Will Smith. It's gone through a lot of changes. So I'm very curious to see how it's all come about. So very much looking forward to this one.
Me too. Oh, here's an interesting one. Catherine Bigelow left because she wanted to focus on her film about Bo Bergdahl. Man, could be an interesting film, but Serial season 2 really put the snooze on the Bo Bergdahl story. I'm done with that. We'll see.
Well, and honestly, I mean, we haven't heard anything about that for a number of years, so it's entirely possible that killed the film as well.
Right. Anyhow, Triple Frontier. See, now here was the thing. I closed my tab too early, Andy. I closed it too early. I don't even know when it's coming out. Let me check. It reminds me of that great Casey Affleck vehicle, 999. I think the Affleck brothers are doubling down on their threes.
They just need one more. We could do a triple feature, right? the Affleck triple films.
Let's see. Looks like France and Italy get it online in March 2019. USA doesn't. I don't even have a US release. Sometime in probably around March of 2019. It was
March. It says at the end of the trailer.
Yeah. IMDb's release date does not have US updated, but it's probably there.
Well, it's because it's going to be released on Netflix, and it's like I don't know if it's a day and date sort of thing, but it says
in select
on Netflix
theaters
in March. Yeah, so
All right.
Yeah.
Well, very exciting. Very exciting. Good luck, Ben.
Oh, very.
Good luck. All right, Andy. I was not here. I have not been here for the last several weeks. Where did you guys end up on our lists for this week?
Well, you should know because I know you got your votes in. We were looking at the film The Producers, Mel Brooks' original 1968 film. And the three options we threw out were non-musical films turned into Broadway musicals, movies that take place in the behind-the-scenes world of theater, and crazy partnerships. And by a landslide, our supporters went with movies that take place in the behind-the-scenes world of the theater.
Well, how'd you feel about this? Were you excited about this one in particular? Was that your vote?
I didn't vote. I usually don't vote on these. I would have picked A. In fact, I went ahead and listed my choices for A on the Show Talk channel. But A and B both excited me. C, I wouldn't have been that excited about Crazy Partnerships.
All right. Well, B it is. Here we are. Movies about behind the scenes in the theater.
It actually was a fun one. I ended up having I was like, oh, wow, there's some good movies on the list.
Well, and
so
not only
I'm
that,
excited.
like how exciting it was that we've already covered a lot of really good ones. On the show. All That Jazz would have been on my list.
Yep.
What else? I have this little list of other movies that we've already talked about. Now I can't remember what they were, but we've talked about a couple that are really great, and this was a really fun one to dig into.
Well, would you like to kick it off, or shall I? Why don't you? Because you haven't been here the last couple of weeks.
That's true. I haven't been here the last couple of weeks. I really struggle a little bit with this one because, I feel like there are some that are just locks for us to have as steals. So I guess I'll go with the one that I am that is the most on the line in terms of whether or not it's allowed. So I went into this thinking I'm not going to do this is not going to be documentaries, right? It's going to be stories about the production of something in the background, and I'm not actually doing staged productions of a thing, right? So we're not just doing films of stages, but this one I think is I think it counts, and it is. I have to bring up, I wasn't ready to go first, and so I closed that tab too. 1996 film where we are patiently waiting for Mort Guffman. Waiting for Guffman is one of those fantastic Christopher Guest, Eugene Levy films. It is a mockumentary, stars the usual suspects in these films with Christopher Guest, obviously, and Fred Willard and Catherine O'Hara and Parker Posey, David Cross and Eugene Levy. And it's just a wonderful cast of people who are coming together to tell the story of this tiny town in Missouri by doing this musical production, this musical variety show. And they learned that someone from the great Broadway is going to be in attendance to watch their show. And I think it's hysterical. I think it's just a wonderful story about the story of telling the story of this town. And they do a wonderful job. It's a terrific film. What'd you think? You remember this one?
I love that movie. It's my favorite of Christopher Guest's mockumentaries.
Yeah.
I just think that he's done such creative things with those. But that one I just think is such a great story. I absolutely love the characters, and Corky just cracks me up. It's a fantastic group, and the little what's the little fire, the crackling fire, just gets on your nose or whatever as he's describing stuff like that. And
totally
it was Backdraft, the stage adaptation that he did.
It's brilliant. It is really it's brilliant.
Yep, so good. That's a great first choice.
All right, it was not a steal. I take it
was not a steal.
Okay.
It was
Good.
not. Sadly I didn't even think about that one, so
Oh, hallelujah. All right.
Like I should be ashamed of myself.
Maybe a little bit. Let's see if your pick brings me any shame.
For my first choice, I think that this is incredibly fitting to go with because it's an older film from 1942, it has had its own. This is we're talking about the producers in our movies in the remake series. This one has been remade, and the remake starred Mel Brooks. So I absolutely had to put it on my list. It is, of course, the brilliant Ernst Lubitsch film To Be or Not to Be, with Jack Benny and Carole Lombard. This movie weirdly, I saw the Mel Brooks and Anne Bancroft version first, totally fell in love with it. And then I saw this version and I'm like, oh, it's not that it's necessarily better. I think they're actually pretty on par with each other, but this is the original one. And I think that they did a great enough job where it did make me question why a remake needed to be put together. But that's okay. I love this one. It's just a fantastically funny film. This is about a troupe of actors in Nazi-occupied Warsaw who have to kind of use their abilities at being theater people to disguise themselves and act to fool the troops, including at one point playing Hitler. It's just a brilliant and fun film that everybody should see. I'd say check both of them out, but watch this one first. That's my first choice.
I love it. That's another.
Was that a steal?
It was not a steal, and I do feel a little bit of shame. That's a great choice. Have you seen
either of them?
I've seen this one. I have not seen the other.
Okay.
No. So I need to see them
both. We should consider it for a future
movies in the
remake series.
Make a note, intern. My second pick, I feel like I'm gonna feel shame for this, but not for the same reason. I'm doing my duty. It's an old duty, and I haven't done the duty in a while, but I am bringing the Woody Allen, Andy. 1994's Bullets Over Broadway, written and directed by Woody Allen. It's New York. It's 1928. A young John Cusack is forced to cast a gang member's talentless girlfriend in his play in order to get it produced. And Diane Wiest is amazing. Don't speak. She's so good. Jennifer Tilly, Chaz Palminteri, Mary Louise Parker, Jack Warden. The cast is fantastic. Rob Reiner, Tracy Ullman, Jim Broadbent's in it. It's just a really delightful cast. It gives you all of that sort of, it's the Woody Allen from the mid '90s. And I guess this one came out kind of right in the middle of the hubbub for poor Woody, and yet I still think the movie's funny. I haven't seen it in years, but my sense is it maybe it holds up. It's a period piece, 1920s theater comedy. What are you going to do? It's good.
And Woody wasn't in it.
Exactly.
I think that was part of the talk. Is like I can't remember if it was the first film of his that he hadn't been in. I feel like that may be the case, but I know there was a lot of talk about John Cusack filling in the Woody Allen role and how that worked.
Yeah. I don't
enjoyed it.
think we had. I think Cusack did a great job as Woody Allen, and I don't think there has been a better portrayal of Woody Allen in a Woody Allen film. I think Owen Wilson did a great job doing that role in what was it, Midnight in Paris, and Jesse Eisenberg did a great job in Cafe Society. But I think Cusack really pulled off, the Woody Allen experience in this movie, and you should get some credit for that.
Yeah, I agree.
If that's a thing that needs credit for, then Cusack should get it.
Why not?
All right. What's your next pick?
For my next one, I am going to go to the land down under to join up with Baz Luhrmann for a trip to France and look at our favorite red windmill, the Moulin Rouge. I just completely fell in love with this film when I watched it. I know it's not for everybody. I know Baz Luhrmann's style can be a little too much for people, including me sometimes. But this one created a magic spell, and it captured me completely. And it's this beautiful romance with a tragedy and drama and comedy and everything. And I really just had a great time with it. Everything that they did here. Fantastic cast, surprisingly amazing singing voices from Nicole Kidman and Ewan McGregor, not to mention Jim Broadbent and John Leguizamo and Richard Roxburgh. Really, just everyone does a great job. And the blend of the modern songs all throughout, I think, created a really interesting world for this place and painted a very interesting picture for 1900 Paris and this world of kind of hedonism and the bohemian movement going on, along with Toulouse-Lautrec and everything involving the shows put on at the Moulin Rouge. I love it, and that's my second choice.
I agree, and this is the movie. This is a movie I think I waited longest to watch after you recommended that I watch it. After I said, "Nah, I skipped it. Didn't look good." And you got so mad at me, and it took years for me to get it. And I watched it, and I had to eat some significant crow. I really enjoy this movie, and I regret not being able to see it, or not having been able to see it on the big screen. I think it would have been a great experience, and I missed it. But it's true.
My biggest recollection of seeing it on the big screen is the old couple who got up after
and
like
left.
10 minutes of the movie, and the guy, the man was just like, "This is just a bunch of crap," as he stormed out. It was very funny.
Oh, that's good.
Good memories.
All right, my last pick.
Final pick.
I really struggled with this last pick because there are a number of films that I feel very close to that tell the story of what's going on backstage, and thankfully we have our top picks, and then we have a robust runner-up conversation to happen after this, because I'm going with the one that makes me laugh. And that is 1992's film Noises Off. This is one of those that's a little bit of a cheat, because it's kind of a play that is about a play behind the scenes that has made a film. And yet I still delight in this every time I watch it. Michael Caine is wonderful as the director. Carol Burnett is terrific. Denholm Elliott, Julie Haggerty, Mary Lou Henner is in it. Mark Lynn Baker as the stage manager. Tim, get the doors open when we open and close when we close is great. Christopher Reeve is just wonderful. John Ritter is in it. I mean, it's just a fantastic cast of great sort of 80s and 90s comedians. And the way they tell the story of the unraveling of this cast is terrific. So I recognize that I really think that you could make a strong case that I break my own rules by picking Noises Off, but I am so delighted by this movie that I just have to do it.
I think it's utter nonsense that you would consider that this is a rule breaker, because I think it's a perfect choice. It is totally about, just because they're putting on a show doesn't mean that you're not seeing, the behind the scenes part of the story. And absolutely, I think the whole thing of rehearsing and figuring it all out and watching them behind the scenes is just what makes it one of the funniest movies. So I'm glad it's on your list. It would be a steal if it wasn't for what I'm going to put in the top slot instead.
Well, that's fair. Although I just have to say, the play is the exact same thing. So effectively,
Sure.
It's a movie of the play. It's just I get lucky that there's a loophole, that it's also telling behind the scenes of the play.
Right.
So
yes,
loophole.
I think it's fine.
Okay.
You just slip right through that loophole, because I would have been right there with you.
Okay. All right. What's yours?
All right.
And P-Bog, right? Bogdanovich.
Oh,
making people laugh. I didn't
yeah.
even say P-Bog, so cut that out. Yours.
You didn't. Shame on you. I am looking at a film that we often talk about on the film board as the little film that we're like, no one's going to watch that. Let's not talk about it.
Jeez.
And then it went on to win Best Picture and create quite a flood of love. I am, of course, talking about 2014's Alejandro Iñárritu's film Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. Just an amazing, amazing film about life behind the theater, following an actor played by good old Michael Keaton, and everybody else involved. I mean, you've got Emma Stone, Zach Galifianakis, Edward Norton, Andrea Riseborough, Amy Ryan, Naomi Watts. Just an amazing, amazing cast. And it's designed to feel like the entire film was done in one shot. It's just a stunning look at the life of this faded actor who was famous for being this superhero character, Birdman, in these movies in the 90s. And now he's trying to perform on stage. And it's kind of a behind the scenes look at him trying to be a serious actor. And there's great conversations between him and a critic who don't buy him, and him and the other actors and his daughter. And it's just a fantastic and powerful journey that I had to get on my list. That is Birdman.
It's a funny movie. It was good. I was not as connected with it as I think a lot of people. And I stand with the film board that we probably should have talked about it. I probably would have liked it better after that conversation, but I didn't connect with it as much as everybody else did. I'm glad you got it, and it was on my runner-up list just because of the one take quote gimmick. I had to put it on the list too, but.
Well, I think it's a wonderful one. But what else did you have on your runner-up list?
Well, let's see. So Birdman, 42nd Street, 1933. And it's one of those that I saw in college because I had to, and it's only on the list because it's sort of, I think it's lauded as one of the first movies about behind the scenes. I don't have much of a memory of it, honestly, but I put it on the list because, B.B. Daniels and George Brent and Warner Baxter. And it's got a heck of a cast, and probably should watch it again before I make any critical statement about it. But it's been a long time.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Yeah. Next is Theater of Blood, which I have absolutely not seen, but it's a Douglas Hickox starring Vincent Price and Diana Rigg. It's a horror movie that is the behind the scene world of the theater, and I was wondering if you had seen this movie because it seems like something that would be right up your alley.
No, I haven't.
So, and then I have one more, which is very close to me and was almost my number one. It is. I saw it in high school first because my French teacher and also director in high school, Chris Lowell, was a huge fan of Chekhov's Uncle Vanya. And so he made us watch Vanya on 42nd Street. And I had forgotten Vanya on 42nd Street almost entirely, and forgotten that I had a connection to it until we had done Louis Malle's My Dinner with Andre. And here we are with a play that's been reinterpreted by David Mamet, directed by Louis Malle, starring Wallace Shawn and Andre Gregory. And I think it's just a fantastic and super intimate story about putting on this reinterpretation of Uncle Vanya in this abandoned theater in New York. It's
I've never seen it. And I've never seen the play.
It's something I think you would...
Never interested me.
Are you doing a bit right now? Are you doing the Moulin Rouge bit? Because the way you feel about My Dinner with Andre, I think this is a film you would really enjoy. So, yeah.
Well, maybe.
Yeah. No.
Maybe one day if I'm forced into it.
All right. All right. You have just made this a thing, man. You've just made this a thing between us.
I know. I'm pushing you.
All right.
No, I'm sure it's wonderful. It's not been something that's been high on my list.
I can't take you seriously at all now. I'm sure it's wonderful. Yeah, I'm sure whatever you're going to say next is wonderful too.
I only had one other that we haven't talked about that was on my list, and it was Shakespeare in Love.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah. So there you go.
That's a good one. I'm actually surprised your list wasn't longer. It's like you really phoned it in this week.
Well, you took noises off, and yeah, so that was it. I only had 5.
All right, fair enough.
So there.
Right. So, what are we doing this week?
We're doing so we're talking about The Producers, the 2005 theatrical version of the Broadway play remake of Mel Brooks's films. So we could technically still do non-musical films turned into Broadway musicals. We could leave that on the list. We could
leave that on. And actually, it's probably more appropriate this week. Right.
Yeah. Well, let's do it.
Okay. So that's the first one. That's the first one.
Although I feel bad now because I already listed my choices on Discord.
Well, you should, because I'm actually just taking your choices because they're not official. So dibs on everything you said.
So what do you want to do?
Okay. Hang on. I'm going to the keywords. That's what I'm doing. Where are the keywords? Plot keywords. Let's see if this is inspiration. Based on stage musical, based on film. Hey, that's...
There it is.
Uh-huh. Auditions, great auditions. Casting couch.
Well, what's different? What do we have in this film that we didn't have in the original film?
Music, obviously. Locked. That's a lock with the first choice.
Yeah. We went to Rio.
Okay, movies that go to Rio.
Or movies where criminals flee the country? I don't know.
That's definitely an angle. The criminal flee.
Yeah.
Something about
it's interesting trying to think what's different. It's such a similar film.
Yeah. Wow.
We could do animal puppets. We should totally do animal puppets.
Okay.
You know that's what people are going to pick.
Of course they're going to pick that. I'm wondering what your angle is here. You must already have a backlog of animal puppet movies.
I don't. That's
why would you do that?
That's what makes it.
That's bait. You're chumming the water, Andy.
I know, and it's going to be a shark much bigger than I would have expected. And I will be stuck with it, but I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
All right, animal puppetry.
Yeah.
And let's see what else. These keywords are useless. Strudel, taxi.
Could you do? Is it probably too difficult a list to have actor substitutes?
Actor substitutes.
Because that was another change where at the last minute somebody has to substitute an actor.
Oh, you're talking about the Will Ferrell bit, right?
Yeah, because Will Ferrell is cast to play the part, but then has to swap out to let the director do it when Will Ferrell falls and breaks his legs. It could be
seems like a very difficult list.
Well, but it could be. So there's two directions that we could play with it. We could go in film, actors who something happens to and they have to get replaced, much like Will Ferrell did in this film. But we could also include actors who were scheduled to be in a film, but then had to back out for one reason or another, and the role ended up going to somebody else.
Oh, well, that's okay. As long as they were contracted to be in the film, not like rumored to be in the film.
Yeah, kind of like, what was it, Nicole Kidman in Panic Room. How she was scheduled to be in it, but then she broke her leg or whatever on The Invasion, and Jodie Foster had to kind of be a last-minute replacement.
Right. Okay, so let's keep that on the list, but there's one other one that just came to me. It just came to me, kind of like in a dream. I can't believe we haven't looked at other movies that actually spoof Hitler.
Are there that many?
Well, we could do either spoofing Hitler, and I'm sure there are,
Hitler portrayals.
or Hitler portrayals, like Hitler comedy portrayals in film.
Or just Hitler portrayals. I can't think of very many comedy portrayals. I can think of two. I can think of one.
One's a start, Andy.
Two, if you count To Be or Not to Be. But again, I just
already
talked about
did
that one today.
Okay. I think, Okay, maybe that's too narrow. And maybe we shouldn't have comedy. We shouldn't make it comedies.
Yeah, I mean, we could just do Hitler portrayals.
Yeah, we could do that. So that's
do you
another
prefer
one.
that or actor substitutes?
Well,
I'm fine either way.
I think I prefer the Hitler one because it was my idea.
No, I see.
No,
that's fine because I picked animal puppetry.
I feel like we don't need two that are going to be just miserable searches. Okay, so we've got non-musical films turned into Broadway musicals, animal puppetry, and Hitler portrayals. Jeez.
Oof.
Yeah.
And this will be our pre-Christmas poll too.
Oh, how charming.
Yeah.
Nothing like a little Hitler at the holidays, people.
That's right. It's funny.
All right.
Oy.
Well, I got to go because I got to go see Spider-Verse.
Ah, yes, you do. All right. Well, I got the poll up so people can vote on it. And I guess that's it then. We will chat more this evening about Spider-Man.
Can't wait. Thanks, Andy. Have a good Saturday.
Ciao.